Hello, we've made it to Thursday, just. What's happening? It's been a busy few days. In fact, when is it ever not a busy few days? It's always busy. So Janina's been out and about taking the baby chicks and the dogs and other animals on all of the visits, which has been super. We had a bit of an upside down day yesterday. One of the white ducks was killed by, we think it was probably the fox. So obviously Nick is rather upset about that. We're left with a tricky problem because we have one white duck left.
Yeah.
And obviously with it being a male or a drake, there's not a lot of interest in people wanting to take on drakes. And that leaves us with one lonesome boy who is now in with the chickens and the turkey and the rabbits. We're not sure how he'll settle. The thing I do know is that we can't really bring in ducklings because he is definitely not a duckling himself. And if the only other possibility would be to see if anybody within the vicinity had another male drake that they were hoping to rehome or so that was a real shame and quite upsetting.
Yeah, it was. It was a really nice duck.
Yeah, he was the duckiest of ducks.
He was Ducky McDuckerson.
He certainly was. They were lovely. And I think it was kind of heartbreaking. We think that what's happened is the pond's quite low, the small pond. And it looks like the fox has gone onto the pond because there was
feathers on
there's
the
feathers
middle of the pond.
In the middle of the pond. And his little body was at the side of the pond. Didn't even have the decency to remove him. And and the other duck was still sitting in the middle of the pond, and he just kept going quack.
Yeah, he kept going and looking over at him where the dead duck was lying and like thinking he would come back, and it was kind of sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. So Nick had to go and wade in. Is that why your wellies at the front door? Because they're wet?
They are wet. But no, I left them out there because they were covered in mud.
Right.
Because it was very muddy down there, and I ended up having to go out on the kayak to chase him round because I needed to get him in.
Yeah.
And I got him in eventually. But then I left my boots outside and they got filled up with rain, so...
Because they were right under the gutters. In fact, I think they were so filled up.
It was that kind of day yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. In fact, I think it was right under the gutter, and it looks like they filled up and fallen over.
Yeah.
So that was exciting. And unfortunately, we also lost a chicken. And we're not too sure what got the chicken. It was inside the run.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be that we're going to... maybe it was something aerial. I'm really not very sure at all. So we'll have to get that sorted as well. And
then we had the other problem.
And then we had the other problem with our big chicken, our big chick.
Fluffy chick.
Our fluffy chick. And Janine found some blood in the stall yesterday. And she said that she wasn't looking very good. So I picked her up, and her underside was putrid smelling, to be quite honest. I'm not sure if you want to know all these details.
It was pretty gross.
I've got a dragonfly. I don't know if you can see that. It's lovely.
A wee tiny one.
I know, it's a baby. I love dragonflies. Anyway, and I picked her up, and it was gross. It was putrid smelling, which obviously means that we've got a bit of an infection going on somewhere. And one of the quite a common thing with chickens is for them to be egg bound. So I flipped her onto her back and palpated around her vent, and she didn't seem to be particularly egg bound, but that doesn't mean that that's not the case. So, and then I stuck my finger in a hole. And as I looked down, I was like, ooh, look, there's maggots. And so decided we would probably be best bringing her up to the house. So we worked on her from, what was that, about 5:30?
I think it was about 6:30, actually.
6:30 until 10 o'clock last night. She was she was in an Epsom salt bath with chlorhexidine, and I was attempting to drown the maggots. The maggots were swimming in the water, and she'd been in there for about 40 minutes, and I was like, right, so this isn't
we went
working.
up to Tractor Supply to get some, what was that stuff?
Antibiotic spray. So Nick went to, so I held her in the tub, and Nick went to Tractor Supply to get me some antibiotic spray, but specific for chickens. And eventually, on taking her out and rinsing her off, we did a really thorough inspection of, it was a mess. She seems to have some sort of damage underneath her, in her undercarriage. It's not a natural hole, should I say. And we cleaned it out. I even had to put my glasses on, and I let them put her under a spotlight. So we cleaned her out really well, sprayed her, and then we sat and cuddled her till about 11. So she is now in a dog crate in the sunroom, and fortunately was living this morning. He's still living.
It seems quite
bright.
Quite bright, actually.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping, I'm going to double check that we did get all of the maggots out, and then retreat her with antibiotics and just keep her going. But she's eating, drinking and pooping, so what more can you ask for? And so she's going to be there for a little while. So we've given you a duck, and we've got the chicken in the house. So there you go. It's been all up and down. So yesterday was a very chaotic and not the best day, but not the worst either. So that was our day yesterday. And then I had morning chores on Meredith this morning, and they took me forever. And the reason they took me forever wasn't because I was being slow. It was because Boone was being super social. Couldn't get rid of Boone, and he just wanted to be reassured that he was the best horse on the farm, which he obviously is. And then the little foal was running around playing with the stick.
Horse, isn't he?
No, he's not. There's the two in the bee barn.
No, he's the only big horse.
Yeah, for the moment. And then the little foal was running around, and he had a stick in his mouth, a big enough stick so that it's not going to go in his mouth and cause damage. But he was playing with a stick. He was throwing it in the air. He was running around with it. He was jumping over it. It was the most fun you could possibly have with a stick.
Yeah.
He was just super animated. And then I did manage to get the sheep barn mucked out with assistance from Dolly, one of the sheep. She likes to supervise and make sure everything is just A-OK. And managed to get out of that paddock. And then I spent a long time with Misty, just having a chit-chat, because she loves a chit-chat, doesn't she?
She does,
Yeah, couldn't get rid of her either. And then I had to go to a doctor's appointment. I'm like, listen, guys, I am on a schedule here. So I'm going back to put out some hay bags and do my little quarantines and feed my mule and my mini horse. So that's something to look forward to, because that's always nice, I think. Don't you?
Absolutely don't.
Oh dear. And I'm hoping to get my car back soon. I mean, it's only been away for a day, hasn't it?
It'll be fine. It just needs its brakes done.
Oh, it's not its brakes, it's its brake cable.
Brake lines, not
brake
cables,
lines.
darling. It's the fluid line.
Yeah, it's a leak in one of it. Its brakes all of a sudden went like Softy McSofferson, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think people know what that means. But
Soft. Yeah, it wasn't stopping very quickly. So we popped it into the garage, and the gentleman put it up in the ramp, and he said, "Oh, look, you've got what did he say? You've got a thingy on your thingy." I said, "Yes, I have." So he's going to, I think, replace.
At least it didn't have maggots.
At least it didn't have maggots. Yeah, that was a bit of a miracle. And I think we've got a little problem with one of the bunnies. So after MailChat, I'm going down to have a little looky at the bunny. So that's not great. So Janine and I'll have a little poke around there, because that's what we like to do of an evening. I think, allegedly. And what else is happening?
Nothing. It's been pretty quiet other than that. Yeah.
We've not been gardening because it's been a bit wet. Very wet, wasn't it?
It was very wet
Oh, you
last
got a
night.
mosquito.
Yeah.
Very, very wet yesterday. And hasn't rained yet today, but I'm hoping it will because I always like a good supply of the Aquaphor going on. Look, this is dead easy to do it here. And next going through the questions. Questions. Look, there. See, dead simple. Easy peasy pants. So if you do have any questions, oh, stop smacking me. Please pop them up here. Yeah, I think the duck's comfortable, but I think he had quite a traumatic day yesterday. So and the other problem is he does actually need water because that's how they keep themselves clean. So we need to have a little think about how we're going to accomplish that. Nick, you and your duck.
What? Sorry, what about my?
Well, he needs water. And I've got a goat in the driveway. I came back home from the doctor's and Billy's lying in the driveway sunbathing. I was like, really, Billy? And he's like, yep, just me. He's like, so I went down to see the rabbit and he wandered down the hill after me. Then he came back up. Then he told me a little story. And then I came into the house to come back out and take him something and he'd gone. And he'd taken himself back off into the paddock.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously able to get in and out of his own...
Self-writing goat.
In and out of his own free will.
Yeah.
So this is going to be problematic. So we'll have to go and find where, or watch to see where he's getting in and out. But he's my favourite goat, actually. Him and Tommy. So I'm not that worried about it. Oh, I'm going to lean up against you. I'm going to fall over. Oh, dear. I know you're a bit upset about your duck. Yep. Thank you, Robin. Are you going back to work? He does. We've got animals to keep in the They've got animals to keep in the standard to which they've become required, accustomed. I need to go for a wee sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were really, really super ducks. Yeah. So, sorry. Right. There's the door there. There used to be a porch, and then it got hit by the tree and it came down. So, you see, the thing is...
So we just turned it into a deck.
Yeah, like that. See? But the thing is, I always think of this as the back door. Is this the front door?
I think that this is the back door, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's where she used to park her car, up behind the house, which is why I always thought it was the back door. But, oh, she must be going to get hay. And, yes, so it's that area that used to have the porch on it outside the sitting room, because that's the sitting room window there. So it could be the front door. Yeah, chicken as well. Obviously been overtaken by wildlife. And my goats failed me. Mind you, they wouldn't have got to it anyway because it was in the run, so... Yeah, we just love all these animals, don't we? I think everybody does. They're just so personable, and you know, they're just super. You're never alone here, are you? You're never alone in Meredith either. There's always somebody watching and making sure you're behaving. And I think that's what we loved about the ducks, is that they kind of like
happy.
They were always happy. They were always pleased to see you, and they would do their little quacky dance.
Mm-hmm.
And then they used to follow Nick around, waddling away and quacking behind him. It was like a little squad, wasn't it? Yes, the fluffy chicken that's in the house is one of the shatting chickens. She was the when we got the goats, she was the little chick that came along as a bonus prize, and she's lovely. She's the black and white striped one. And it's so funny because when we were sitting just holding on to her last night, she was just sort of chuntering away, wasn't she? You know, she was very quiet, but, you know, having a little chit-chat. And we were like, okay, 'tis good. And all of the dogs were absolutely horrified that we had a chicken in the house. They were all coming up going, that's a chicken, you know. It's supposed to be outside. You're not supposed to bring those in the house. Okay, so she's in the sunroom. None of the dogs can get in there. And she has been used for the chicken board, yes. In fact, she was one of the only time that I have not been able to have a chicken boop. She was the one that we had to throw the cookie in the air, I think. Now, looking down to see if there's any more questions. He is very sad about his ducks. Yeah, isn't it really funny? I don't think I've ever seen a horse play with a stick before. And you know, he did that for so long. I took that video because I thought it was hilarious. And then the next thing is, I was emptying a wheelbarrow and I came back and he was jumping over it. He was in the air. Best value for money, that stick, honestly. Yeah, I think we're going to have to really make sure these foxes are not able to get in. I think the bunny's maybe got the same, he's maybe got fly strike, or she's maybe got fly strike, but we're going down to double check just after a mail chat to see exactly what's going on. And although I think Janine's just gone out to go and get hay. So, after she comes back. No, I think it's this time of year. The pond is exceptionally low, the small pond. And, you know, I think they would normally be quite protective because I don't think the foxes swim out of choice. And I think the problem is it just waded through the sludgy mud and grabbed them, unfortunately. How did the goat get out? That is a very good question. And why did all the other goats not get out? He's obviously the welcoming committee. And although, I wonder if I posted I've got a video to post of Percy. Nick found Percy down the drive this morning and he came back up and then he decided he would come and have a wander around the garage area of this house. I was like, good grief. So we've had Percy out and about as well. I need to put that video online. I think the goat has probably forced himself. He's a slightly... Oh, that's just to be poured down the hill. Excuse me. That's just to be poured down the hill. What? Okay. So I think he's squeezed himself. He's actually a goat that, although he's just a bit smaller than the other three, so but fortunately he didn't take his buddies with him, and he tends not to leave them too far. I presume chatting will be on Monday, yes, which is good because that's one of Carlene's days. So with the horned goats, there are 3 boys and 1 female, and Mabel, Tommy and Billy Black are all fathered by Henry, who is the one that actually has the short horns and the one that headbutts everyone. You know, I've heard a few hawks, but I haven't heard them recently, and I think that's maybe what got the chicken. We've been very lucky so far. 58% sold. And then chatting will be on Monday, yes. I think it was the fox, Marilyn. Oh, 59%. Yes, Carla, that's correct. This was the chick that used to be on the camera we brought in the surrogate mummy to look after her, and they were on the camera at the grassy patch just under is that the courtyard camera? Yard cam?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, down there. My big birds. I've got my big birds up here. Which other big birds? I've got some birds in the white chicken house. They're my smaller ones. And I've got chicks in the sunroom.
Mm-hmm.
So, you okay?
Yeah, I'm tired.
You're tired. Nick's been working all day. Do you still have mouse holes in the kitchen near the floor that Carleen made? Did Carleen make mouse holes? That explains a few things. No, we're constantly filling in holes. Good grief. Not helping at all. I think the bunny might have fly strike. We're just going to see if it's maggots or if it's bot fly, but it might be nothing. It technically wasn't out of the chicken butt. Just so you know, so we can clarify, Marlon. It was, she's obviously had some sort of damage, a cut or something, and the flies laid eggs in there. And it's very peculiar because some of the maggots were obviously much bigger than the other ones. So there was some tiny, almost like microscopic, it was like silver moving. And some of them were older, so anyway. Bunnies are, yes, I went down to see the bunny, but I need Janine to hold him. Oh, that's nice to know, Pat. Yeah, I actually think if we were doing more ducks, what we would have to do is keep them off the pond, and we'd have to go back to the plastic pond, which was a real nightmare over the winter. They just didn't get access to much water. We were having to make up tiny ponds and hot and warm water. So it's a tricky one. If he settles in with the chickens, that would be absolutely great. And then we'll see what we can arrange for him come spring. Should who be out with the foxes? Definitely not the ducks, no. The problem is we definitely couldn't get the muscovies in at night. They wouldn't come in at all. And those two ducks, by the time it got to this sort of temperature, they don't want to be in the duck house, they want to be outside, and they want to be in the middle of the pond, which makes it extremely difficult to get them in. So I think the solution would have to be that we had an area that had a fenced-in space that had the pond within it. So that, I think, would probably be the only successful way forward if we ever chose to have ducks again. The ducks ordinarily had been coming in at night time, and then we just couldn't get them in. You could stand and shake all the food that you would like. Nick still went down every night, but they just weren't for coming in. Yes, one of the rabbits did die of fly strike last year. So that's why we're not best excited at the moment. It could be that this was just a little sore that he had, an abscess. I think it's she actually. So we'll go and have a look at that later on and take it from there. I actually wondered about Percy and a fox. Now, these foxes are actually, it's a vixen and 3 cubs we've got. And the foxes are not actually very big. Percy, he's like a tank. I'm not sure that a fox would, he would roll over, he would charge at them. I think Percy might actually manage. He's also, his coat, Nick said, can you get conditioner to put on that? Because, let's face it, hog hair brushes You know, it's scratchy. He's very thick-skinned, and he's kind of strong. So I would hope Percy would be okay, but that's something definitely to think about as well. Fly strike is when the flies find a bit on a body of an animal or a bird, and they lay their eggs in it, which then obviously turn to maggots. The difficulty we have is that we have flies that bot flies, and bot flies lay one single maggot, and it's a bot fly egg. It has a breathing hole. It's extremely difficult to remove. You have to remove it in one go, and it is absolutely horrific. And the problem is they tend to burrow. If you take the skin as being on the horizontal, they kind of burrow on the vertical. So they go in and down, and they can travel through the abdomen. They can travel all over the place, and it can actually removing them is unpleasant, because you have to get it out in one, so none of the toxins go in, and it's a mess. So hoping it's more like maggots from just a regular barn fly. Yeah, those shining strings, ultimately we got to the stage that they didn't work. I think I'll actually I have got fabric netting, and I think what we might do is put the fabric netting just over the top that can be removed easily to take leaves and pine needles off, but that I think might be more helpful. So it's another thing we're going to try. And we've still got our guinea hens, yes, who are screaming. My chinchillas are doing very well. They're not best impressed, because the chinchillas now, they're older. They only use the top part of their cage. So they've got 2 stories up there. The chicks are living in the basement story. So the chinchillas have 2, and the chicks are in the whole basement. And so they'll be there till they get a little bit bigger. And then the chinchillas will get their whole house back together, and they'll still not use the basement story. Yes, we could. I mean, we could try it. There's lots to try. I think the most effective way is really to get the netting over, because that's a physical barrier, and I think that's what I would like to try first. Oh. Blossom and Petal must be out by themselves. I'll maybe have a little wander down. We saw Carlene's car going down the driveway, and I presumed it was Janine going to pick up some hay, but maybe I was wrong. Sorry, too much information, I know. I'm keeping it very real. Oh, the bunnies are going back in. They won't stay out. They're just out there for the moment, I think. Yeah, he did love his ducks. Yeah, and he certainly would. Percy would definitely scream his lungs out. He's a stunner. I know, Elaine, but you know what it's like around about here. There's, we live in tandem with wildlife, and we try our best to keep everybody safe and accommodated. So, manure does produce flies. It's fly season at the moment. We have greenheads that just like being out eating things. We have deer fly. It's fly season. There's people who just have gardens of flies. It's part of the delights of living in this temperate climate. Yes, the chickens come in at night time. Some of the chickens are going in and roosting with the goats, which is unusual, but hey. So the chickens come in at night time, and we seem to have been okay so far. Oh, so the chicken area actually has, it has, oh gosh, what do we call it? Chain link fencing. So it's got fencing, so it's actually quite a secure area. It's just that I think that the chicken, I think it was an aerial attack. It wasn't it wasn't a fox, by the sort of damage and the. I'm going into too much information now. I think it was an aerial attack, put it that way. So that's why I'm keen. So while they're in an enclosed area, that seems to work. But the problem we have is, the birds, or the hawks specifically. Yeah, I know. We're all commiserating at the moment. It's been an odd 24 hours, I can tell you. So we'll get there. I think the problem is, I think this is the problem that isn't apparent. You're constantly building fences because the goats rub against fences. The fences, the wire bows out. It's a constant job, and sometimes you don't realise until you've got a breach in your fence, at which point you're like, there was a problem with the fence. So that is extremely difficult. There's countless jobs on a farm, and one of the most important ones is keeping them safe and healthy, and sometimes it's just an uphill struggle, but we do check fencing, we do get it repaired, we do temporary repairs to keep everybody secure until we've got time to sort it. So, yeah, it's a constantly evolving process, but we will get there, and hopefully we've done well enough for the next period of time. But I think that's actually interesting that Carla said that putting wire over the fenced area where the rabbits are. I have actually had a discussion with Janine about potentially putting something on there that can be taken on and off when you need to go and stand upright. Because let's face it, when you're picking up the rabbits, you need to be able to get in there and get back out. Because it's quite frankly, they don't come out of their own accord. I have a funny feeling that we're going to have rain or thunder. It certainly feels like that. Look at the sky. It's been a bit ponderous all afternoon, but I think we're probably going to get something. Now, I know, can you imagine us getting a wall around the goats? The goats actually have a secure, it is actually secure, it's just the goats are very good at knocking holes in things, as we know. Where's another? Yeah, goats do what they want. They certainly do, don't they? They're a law unto themselves. It's like the goat coalition, isn't it? There we go. So I think we've done all the questions, and thank you so very much for joining us. And I'll definitely be back next week. I'm not sure what Nick will be doing. Well, he's been working. Maybe he finishes work at 5. I don't know.
What do you mean?
To join me for MailChat.
I don't know. I'll see.
He doesn't know. Okay. So thank you again, and I'll speak with you soon. Have a wonderful weekend.